Marty Kruger here, and you're listening to Mike the Birdman and the rest of the crew this week in Geek.net.
Halloween's coming. What are you going to do about it?
Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
You could be anything, steampunk, pickle, or a zombie, hot dog, sexy Ben Franklin, funky future Gandhi, Value Village Halloween.
For great Halloween fun, pick up some spooky decorations at Walgreens. Just $7.99 each. Scary sound-activated Halloween figures, battery-operated pirate skull, witches, skeletons, and more.
It's almost time, kids. The clock is ticking. Be in front of your TV sets for the Horathon. And remember the big giveaway at 9. Don't miss it. And don't forget to wear your masks.
Hey guys, what's going on? You are listening to This Week in Geek.net. I am one of your hosts for this evening. I am Mike the Birdman from Guelph, Ontario, Canada. But I'm not alone on the annual TWIG Halloween show. That's right, it's spooky season. Well, at least for another couple of hours anyway. As always, I'm not alone as I get a chance to talk about all things Halloweeny, spooky, and weird here on the show. I want to welcome my good friend from the state of Ohio and the world's best life coach that could ever walk the earth. That's your cue.
Oh, God. See, you scared me because the season's so spooky. I'm Henrique Couto from a weekly spooky podcast, and I'm happy to be here and talk about Halloween because I'm honestly curious what you people in the Great White North do for Halloween.
I love it.
But no, thank you for having me, man. Always happy to hang out with you guys and talk about Halloween.
Yeah, it's always a fun time. And of course, welcoming back to the show our good friend who is one of the best and oldest YouTubers around, but also just a part of internet culture, the brains behind Cinemasker.com and a fantastic voice on YouTube. We welcome to the show the angry video game nerd himself, James Rolfe.
Oh, thanks so much. And
Yeah.
you know what? I don't do Halloween podcasts too much. I don't do podcasts that often in the month of October because things are so busy. But we've been doing this for so long. It's such a tradition. I don't want to break the streak. How long have we been doing this now?
I think as of right now, this is either year 14 or 15, potentially could be 16. Literally, this podcast is now old enough to drive.
Well, that's impressive. Like, this is quite a streak. Like, there's people who I don't even hang out with once a year, but we have kept this thing going through the decades.
Yeah, it's so wild to think like this podcast started out back in the winter of 2007. And as far as I know, we are one of Canada's longest running continual podcasts. And a bit of a side story, much like you and Hen, I'm a workaholic. Back when I was really sick back in 2017, I literally podcasted from my hospital bed in the ICU because I'm like, fuck it, I'm not missing a deadline. I've got shit to do. I'll die later.
Wow.
So it's always a tradition to do this with like you guys. And I'm really glad like the three of us have kind of hammered out, this is the Halloween crew. But obviously, if you guys have been listening to This Week in Geek over the course of the last month, we've done lots of cool things. We've talked about the Resident Evil movies with Enrique's good friend Dave. He's been joining us. We've also been talking about different types of Halloween movies. We most recently just did, I want to say it was either the Hocus Pocus movies or Beetlejuice, sort of the sequels. How do they fit into the franchise? I know me, Alex, and Aaron have done some stuff, and it's just been a lot of Halloween this month. This is like the second busiest month of the year for me. Alex and Ken and all them do all the Summer Game Fest stuff with all the video games. I do all the Halloween programming, and it's just a fun chance to hang out with friends like you guys, talk about all sorts of things. So I guess what I'm going to do here is just kind of give people the idea of what we're going to do. So previously, me, Hen, and James, we've talked about our favorite movies. We've talked about franchises. This year, we're going to take things a little bit back. We're going to sit back in our pumpkin-colored recliners and do something a little bit more fun. We've never talked about kind of what makes Halloween so special to us, like going all the way back to our wee little childhoods and all the way to the current day, what makes it so special. But one thing that I want to acknowledge before we go anywhere is, Hen, I understand you just had something really cool happen to you where you were recently inducted into the Horror Host Hall of Fame, and I would love to hear a little bit about that.
Sure. It's still kind of surreal. But at the end, or at the beginning of September, rather, at the Horror Hound Convention in Cincinnati, they host the Horror Host Hall of Fame, and I was inducted into the class of 2025 for my contributions to the world of horror hosting. Namely the fact that I hosted a horror movie show on community access television when I was 12 years old.
Oh, wow.
And without adult supervision. And I guess I'm the only one still that's done that. So it was kind of wild, mainly because of that. And also because I felt like, really, I'm getting inducted now. And then it was like, oh yeah, that was like 30 years ago, because I was 12. So like, it was a long time ago. But yeah, so I was inducted into the Hall of Fame, and it's really cool. I mean, everybody's that you would expect is in it. Elvira, Zachary, Vampira, Svengoolie, both Svengoolies, the original and the current. So yeah, it was very cool and very surreal to find myself there, but I'm thrilled about it. And thank you for bringing it up, because I still don't think it's entirely real in my brain yet.
Yeah, that's awesome. Congrats.
Thank you very much.
It's so cool just to know that you stand shoulder to shoulder with people that have influenced horror culture for decades. I gotta say, it's pretty cool to be your friend. I'm just saying, total bragging rights. So anyway, guys, I guess let's kind of jump into today's show. So I kind of have this structured a little bit differently, even though I said, oh, it's going to be super casual. But I'd love to know what everybody's earliest memory is of Halloween. So I'll go first to give you guys a kind of second to cook. So we'll go with Hen, and then we'll go to James. So for me, I grew up in small town rural Ontario, Canada. So, you know, the Great White North, as it may be. And I remember Halloween being kind of a big deal in my elementary schools. Like, obviously there was like the orange pumpkins and like the skeletons that were made out of like paper that you could buy from the store, which it seems like teachers always had access to the coolest, but I don't know, it's most basic Halloween decorations, but there was something about them that was oddly charming. Like, you get those big flashy pumpkins, the skeletons, the bats, the witches, and all that shit. And I remember like teachers coming out to read us spooky stories, and I seem to recall them just reading all these amazing little books to us, and we'd get these books that were on cassette or even on record, and you could listen to them in the library. And I know I seem really old. I think as of this recording, I'm 44 years old. I just turned 44 last week. And I just remember that really getting me excited. So when I started to explore what Halloween meant, I started looking in the more unusual corners of the library at my local elementary school. And I think I brought this up on previous podcasts before, but I remember finding a book, and it talked about horror movies and special effects. And the thing that really stuck out in my mind is it covered George Romero's 1978 Dawn of the Dead. And it was a little section talking with Tom Savini, and he was talking how he did the special effect for the blade machete kill in Dawn of the Dead, where he sticks the machete in the guy's head and he pulls it out, and how that was a reverse camera trick. And my little like 7 or 8 year old mind could not comprehend, like, that's how they do it. That's how they make the spooky things on movie screens. And it was just so incredible. And again, the book did not hold back from the blood and gore, but because it was done in such a, I would call it a tasteful way, because the blood in Dawn of the Dead does not look real at all. And I was wondering, like, why is that blood so hyper red? And it went into the process of saying, here is how we mix the blood together to give it that visual effect so it would pop on camera. I really wish I knew what this book was called so I could find a copy just for my own personal kind of library.
It sounds kind of like Scream Greats.
Maybe, like, this would have been around 1987, maybe 88. I want to say, like, I'm trying to figure out what grade I was in. I want to say maybe 3, maybe 4 when I got this. But yeah, like, this would have been in the late 80s, maybe at the latest early 90s. But yeah, that's kind of what really got me into it. And then I remember going to a lot of video stores, like we had the ubiquitous Blockbuster, but we also had the smaller mom and pop shops. And I would just see these posters. And I seem to recall seeing a poster for Nightmare on Elm Street. I want to say part 3. So Dream Warriors, classic poster. And that really got me going. And just realizing I don't have to be scared of stuff that happens. And I really started to embrace horror movies and sci-fi and all that stuff, because it was cool to know that it was a guy in a suit, but I wanted to know, how was the gag pulled off? And that's probably my earliest memory of Halloween and getting involved in all this stuff. But we'll go into what our first costumes were a little bit later. So, Hen, what is your earliest memory when it comes to Halloween?
Man, Halloween was something I would always look forward to so much. And I think in part it was because my normal everyday life was a little more Halloween. I've realized as I've gotten older than the average person. My mother, who's originally from Hazard, Kentucky, of all places, she used to tell me scary stories that she had heard when she was growing up, like the lady with the golden arm, which I found out years and years later, Mark Twain had made that story famous. But my mom used to tell me that story, and it would scare me quite a bit. And my stepdad, who was from Mexico, used to terrorize me with La Llorona. And I mean, terrorize me. My memory is that he told me the story every night before bed. I'm sure he didn't. I'm sure he told it to me like 5 times. But I was so scared of getting out of bed at night. It was a story about a weeping woman, the ghost of a weeping woman who drowned her children. And, you know, if you wander at night, you'll get drowned too. And he tailored it to me. He made it that she had 2 little boys. He said that that if I left my bedroom at night, I would be called to the stream behind our apartment building. I later found out there was no stream behind our apartment building. I mean, he really laid it on thick. So I already had a lot of like the spooky stuff going on. And I just remember my strongest memories are of seeing the Halloween specials on like Nickelodeon and TGIF and kind of being like, whoa, everything is different. It's a little scarier right now. It's a little bit more what I'm into, but for everybody right now. And I think my strongest memory that helped me really kind of connect with Halloween was I got the Garfield in Disguise comic. And I still read that every year around Halloween. And I watch the Garfield Halloween special, which is based on that book. And it just gives me that incredibly late 80s, early 90s Halloween feeling inside that I enjoyed so much. And then as I got older, it became Goosebumps as well. Goosebumps would really coast me through the Halloween season and beyond. So those are like my favorites. And then of course, fantasizing about what my costume would be, going through the friggin' Kmart catalogs and mailers and stuff and looking at all the masks, or looking at mail order things. And in hindsight, knowing I was never going to order any of those things. They were too expensive and it was too big a pain in the ass in the early 90s to be mail ordering a bunch of stuff. But I would convince myself, like, I got to circle this, got to circle this, got to circle this. One of these days, mom's going to put in that order. And then it was like, no, we're going to Kmart. We're going to Walmart. We're going to find a costume there. So those are some of my absolute fondest memories, really, television specials and books, and just the idea that everything had that little bit of a spooky edge to it in October.
I love that. Just the fact that your family would make this spooky tale tailored to you. That's something I wish someone had done for me, because that's such a cool idea that someone would really go to that level to like make it real for you. And I know, like, because the only reason I know of that legend is because of the really shitty movie that came out a couple years ago.
I kind of liked it.
That's because you're a terrible person.
That's fair. That's a fair point.
But yeah, so James, what about you, homie? What do you got?
Well, first memory of Halloween, I actually don't have any, because I could tell you my first time playing Nintendo, my first time seeing a Godzilla movie, but Halloween is so ingrained in me that I just don't have a first memory, because it's I have the photographic evidence that my parents were dressing me up for Halloween since I was a baby, since year one. So Halloween is something I was so used to, but it wasn't until the 90s when I started taking control of it. I mean, basically I lived through all the 80s, in case anybody needs to know. But by the end of the 80s, I'd say, and especially by the 90s, I was sort of taking Halloween into my own hands, and always making a point to, whether it was throwing a Halloween party with my friends or it was making a haunted house in my basement, it was always these activities that you do to celebrate the season. And then it would be something I'd look forward to every year. That's just one of those things that you learn at such a young age, like learning the alphabet. Like, you don't really remember when you first learned it. It's just kind of like it's always been there. So my parents always, celebrated Halloween with me. And I remember at school, there was always like a Halloween parade where you bring your costumes, you come dressed up. I even remember my school sometimes had like a little haunted house they would make. So that was cool. But yeah, as it went on, it sort of became like a hobby as well, making haunted houses and making horror films in the backyard. And of course, like you mentioned, I associate all those TV specials with the season, like Charlie Brown and the Garfield Halloween Adventure. All those things would become staples to this day. So it's become a very nostalgic holiday as well. Like, now it's not just about Halloween itself. It's sort of about reliving your childhood, I guess.
There's something that I've like kind of noticed. It seems like Halloween, like, again, maybe it's because I was born in the 80s and I've now had a chance to witness it throughout my 40 plus years. It seems like in the 80s, it really started to take off to become its own thing. In the 90s, it became kind of cool. And then in the 2000s, it just seems like there was a huge spike where Halloween be like, okay, what elaborate costume can we do? What haunted attractions can we do? I don't know. It just seems like Halloween went under a weird transformation post 2000s. I would
millennials getting money.
Yeah.
I think it's gotten bigger every year. It seems it feels like Halloween became more of a business, which is good to see. It's good to see like haunted houses with like a budget now. Like the type of stuff you see nowadays is so advanced compared to what it used to be. You can get really cool costumes. You could buy really cool decorations. They sell all those like animatronic figures now, which, I mean, that would have blown your mind as a kid if you had something like that. Like, all we had was these cardboard little like 2-dimensional decorations, like the Beastal die cuts. A Halloween decoration was something scotch taped up to the wall. It wasn't like some 3-dimensional battery operated monster that's doing cool stuff and making sounds. So it is really awesome to see how Halloween's evolved.
Yeah, because like I can't recall, when did Home Depot and Spirit Halloween really become a thing? Because like I have a friend of mine, they work in a Spirit Halloween in my local mall, and they always have this amazing elaborate setup with like you mentioned, with all these like animatronics and spooky and insane shit. And I'm like, when did this become a thing? Like, you're right, guys.
Yeah.
Like, when did this become a business? Like, in Canada, we have I don't know whether you guys have this or not. Do you guys have a store called Value Village?
Value Village? No, I don't think so. But definitely Spirit Halloween.
Yeah, so Value Village, it's sort of like Salvation Army. It's like a thrift store. It's a place you can buy like old clothes, VHSs, all sorts of junk. It's a secondhand store. So in about the mid 2000s, I'm in college, and they used to start playing these commercials on the radio, and it would just be these jingles of how the hell did it go? It's like spooky, scary Halloween. And it was like people going to a thrift store and buying the hobo and the pirate costume and all this crazy stuff. And it was just buying it off of used clothes. And again, it was just like, I never saw Halloween become a business. And then as you move into the 2010s to current day, like you guys mentioned, like I saw an animatronic Chucky last year. I saw this like 7-foot electronic skeleton, or like this lurch looking motherfucker.
That's another thing. They have like the licensed figures. Like I saw a lot of those this year too. I think I might have seen that same Chucky.
Yeah, and it's like, when did this just become the norm? When did and I guess to kind of further
a little
extrapolate.
fact, I guess, if you want to get a little fact, I just looked it up because you got me curious. Spirit Halloween apparently was founded in 1983, which I guarantee you, I don't think anybody I know has heard of it that long ago. But it says that in 99, they had 60 locations. And I think now it's saying they have 1,400 locations across North America. So, I guess it was just one of those things, started small and then got big.
Yeah, like it feels like, again, going back to what Hen said, like you would look at Kmart, you'd see all these things in like Walmart or whatever. Like I remember when like you'd get like the Dawn Post masks you'd see in stores, and those weird costumes that were like garbage bags, then like a really shitty mask that like you could never breathe out of. And I always thought that was like, some of those costumes are really bad. Like I am He-Man because I wear a T-shirt and a mask that vaguely looks like him.
Yeah, and the T-shirt has He-Man on it, just like He-Man would wear.
It'll say the words He-Man, like if it were a He-Man costume. And you got the plastic mask with the strap around it, which I mentioned that in my recent videos about costumes. It was the Ben Cooper lineup of costumes, and then the Don Post masks, which were like the more like screen accurate kind of things. So
now there was something that you both mentioned in talking about Halloween specials, and you triggered a memory. And I remember I went down a rabbit hole a couple of years ago trying to find it. And before this recording, I was like, I'm going to rewatch this just to get myself in the mood. So there was a Halloween special, and I hope you guys have seen this. It was a Disney one, and it was called Disney's DTV, and it was hosted by the Magic Mirror from Snow White. The Magic Mirror of Snow White was played by, I hate to say this guy's name, Jeffrey Jones. And if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. And it was surprisingly funny, but what they would do is they'd set popular music of the time. So it was Michael Jackson, it was Rockwell, it was the Eurythmics, ELO, to Disney cartoons. And you'd get about 1 minute to 2 minutes of the music, but they'd sync cartoons to it. And that I remember being one of the earliest TV specials I'd ever seen. Now, I'm going to commit an act of blasphemy here. I did not see Charlie Brown's Great Pumpkin till last year.
Oh, wow.
And I hated it.
Oh, no.
I was like, that's it? That's the Great Pumpkin?
You know what?
Ripped me off.
I feel as if you had to see it as a kid, because I've heard the same reaction from others who had not seen it.
Okay,
back then.
I'm not
crazy. We're like, why is this so popular? It's so slow paced and everything. It's like, well, it was like innocent, like that. Those times, were so different. But yeah, you have to just be raised on it, I guess.
Yeah, it's like, what were some of the other specials? Because like you guys in America would get more than me up here in Canada. What did you guys see? Because like, again, Hen, you're part of the horror host, so you guys would get this on local access. We never got that in Canada. And if we did, I certainly never heard of it. So what are some other specials that I might have never been exposed to? We'll start with Hen and then we'll go to James.
Well, man, I mean, obviously The Simpsons ruled the Halloween special game for decades with Treehouse of Horror. And that became a really exciting thing once I was in my teens, once there were like, I don't know, probably 12 or 13 of them, because they would run those in the rerun syndication more aggressively as you waited for the brand new one to air. And then, of course, Garfield, which was always great. Nickelodeon always had a lot of really fun Halloween specials, like the Clarissa Explains It All Halloween special, where they think somebody's trying to break into the house and she tells Ferguson that scary story about a severed hand in their basement. Which as an adult, those episodes, some of them are even immensely better. Like there's a line where she says like, that's why we got the house so cheap. And Ferguson goes, what do you mean so cheap? Dad's always complaining about the mortgage. and then she says, yeah, but he says that's so you'll never know about it. And I was like, oh my God, mortgage humor. Finally, I've arrived. But there were also like some really weird Nickelodeon spinoffs. Like there was a special with Mark Summers and Lance Burton where they go to the Magic Castle in California and end up basically witnessing a bunch of magic tricks, but they're in danger the whole time. I wish I could remember exactly what it was called. It was called a bunch of different things, but it would just air. You never knew when it was going to be on. You never looked forward to it. You would just like have the TV on Saturday, and all of a sudden you were watching Lance Burton have a sword fight and Mark Summers and a bunch of random kids on a road trip, which is kind of weird that there was no excuse. It wasn't like, oh, this is Mark's, nieces and nephews. It was just, no, this is what Mark Summers does. He just drives around with kids because he's the Double Dare guy. So it was, those were some of my absolute favorites. And Roseanne, of course. Roseanne had some of the most fun Halloween specials and Home Improvement. I'm stealing all the good ones before James can get to them.
Oh, that's all right.
Well, James, you're a bit of a media historian when it comes to this sort of thing. What was the first Halloween special with like a sitcom? Like, do you know? Because I remember the Roseanne stuff, but like, was there anything before that? There must have been.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, Happy Days I know had a Halloween special because I once did a month of Monster Madness all about like just random Halloween specials that I would pick. It's kind of, you sort of have to distinguish between special or like special episode, or you can count them all as the same thing. But basically it's like where there's an episode of a running show and that's the Halloween episode of the year, or there's something where it's just a one-time, like one-off sort of thing. And with those, there's just like tons and many that are forgotten or many that I don't know about. There was one I remember called The Last Halloween. I'm going to say it was like 91. And it was basically like, I don't know, like a half hour or hour TV slot. And it was about these aliens that come to Earth to get candy because they don't have any candy on their home planet. But the whole special was like a tie-in with like, I don't know, M&Ms or something. Like it was basically like a big candy commercial.
Weird.
But it had these like aliens that were like these kind of cute little colorful CG aliens, like really early CG. Yeah, I mean, it was just one of those random things. I mean, you could probably find it on YouTube. I'm not sure. But
yeah, I'm kind of hoping that exists actually, because like I love finding weird lost media.
Yeah,
like that.
You know what I love finding is like old Halloween commercials that I never seen. Like, if you look on YouTube, you could find tons and tons of these like playlists of just all these retro Halloween commercials. And I saw one the other day, and it must have came out around Gremlins 2, but it was basically like a hotel commercial where the Gremlins are staying in a hotel if you remember Gremlins 2, remember the smart gremlin that speaks? Yeah, it was like him on the phone, like booking this hotel or something. And it's the same animatronic, the same like voice, from what I remember, like from the movie. And it was just cool to see that. I was like, oh, wow. Like, I didn't know that ever happened.
Yeah, I've never even heard about that. That's really kind of crazy. Now, there was something, Henrique, you used to do a podcast with our mutual buddy, Dave, and it was called Do You Even Movie? And I seem to recall you covered a couple of unique Halloween made for TV movies that I'd never seen, right?
There were quite a few of them. Halloween was definitely, I mean, it was a second banana to Christmas. Christmas got all of the TV specials and special episodes. But we covered a lot of different Halloween movies. I'm trying to think of, one of my favorites ever was Dark Night of the Scarecrow. That is a TV movie that if you haven't seen it, you need to. It's really creepy. The way I heard about it, I think it aired in like 1977 or something like that. The way I heard about it was every friend I had who was a teenager or growing up during that time period, when you would mention it, they would like recoil. They'd be like, I remember the nightmares I had after watching that at 7 p.m. on TV with my parents. Similar with Trilogy of Terror. That was another great made for TV horror film that scarred an entire generation into loving horror movies. So there are several that are really great. And there was a great period where Dan Curtis was just cranking out these awesome made for TV horror movies, and they would enter heavy rotation around Halloween time. And I mean, it got to a point where he was so legendary, he could kind of do whatever he wanted. They let him do his own telling of Dracula. He did his own Frankenstein, and they're all really fun. I mean, they're a little cheap, but they're fun, and you could tell he really wanted to make them scary. So there was definitely that period of time where they were legitimately trying to scare you, and within the confines of broadcast television. And as far as Halloween specials go, I want to mention, I feel like there were a decent amount of Halloween specials, but it was Roseanne that like upped the ante to where everybody felt like they had to really go hard and not just have like one Halloween special ever. They had to do it every year, and they had to get more and more intricate. Cause I remember like Family Matters had some really scary ones. They had the Urkel doll come to life.
Yes.
Yeah. That was a good one.
Scared me, man. So yeah, I feel like that. And another one worth mentioning is all the Halloween commercials were great. You were talking about the Gremlins commercial for a hotel. That's another thing that would really help kind of feed the spooky season vibes, was no matter what, you could be watching Matlock at 3 p.m., but that Kmart commercial has goblins in it. And that, and that Piggly Wiggly commercial has Dracula. You knew that it was spooky season because the commercials would shift. And that was something that I think has really fed the nostalgia. And that's why there are, hundreds of compilations of Halloween commercials all over YouTube.
Commercials, just a big treasure trove. And also like how many celebrities would be in them that you wouldn't expect. Like Vincent Price was doing Halloween commercials like in the 80s, I guess. And it's so weird when I'd see these things. I'm like, oh my God, I never knew he was doing this. Well, he would be advertising something that's not Halloween related, though. It would be like a dish detergent or something. And it's just so funny to have Vincent Price doing his creepy like monologue and everything.
My favorite were Kodak Film and a video head cleaner. He did a Halloween commercial.
I do remember that, like the static. Like I found that one. I don't remember it being. I don't remember seeing it live, but I remember finding it. And also, speaking of specials, I have to mention: did you guys see the Halloween Tree?
No.
Oh yeah.
93. It was direct to TV. It's really good. Even to this day, I think that's one that holds up really well. Just has a really good animation style. And it's just loaded with Halloween. I mean, it just breathes the spirit.
I always thought it was really cool when people would commission these smaller studios to do stuff. Like you'd get stuff from Deke, which is now, I think, is now defunct in Canada. The Deke, Nelvana, I know Nickelodeon. I remember seeing a fair chunk of Halloween specials on there. I want to say I saw Buttons and Rusty was a cartoon special that I seem to remember. But speaking of commercials, I can think of one network that did it really well, despite like ABC and CBS and NBC having their own Saturday morning blocks, which were fine. You got some amazing cartoons on them, don't get me wrong. But Fox Kids in the 90s, they, as soon as it turned October 1st, cranked up the Halloween stuff. Like I remember it was a big deal when the X-Men cartoon premiered on Halloween, but they would do all their bumpers would always be Halloween filled. They'd always be running contests for all sorts of cool shit you could win. One commercial I remember pretty clearly, and I know you guys have seen this, whenever the McDonald's commercials would come out for the Boo Buckets, and the McDonald's buddies would all be like Dracula, Mummy, and Frankenstein and all that shit. And I always thought that was tremendously fun and cool. One person that carried on the tradition of the Halloween special for sitcoms, friend of the show and friend of mine, Adam Goldberg from the Goldbergs television franchise. They always went above and beyond for their Halloween specials during that run of their show. They got Robert Englund to put on the makeup one more time for a glorified cameo. While it was still fun seeing Beverly Goldberg interact with Freddy, they had George Segal in a RoboCop costume. They had him dressed up as a Ghostbuster. I want to say the kid that plays Adam, Sean Gambrone, got to dress up in a cardboard Ed 209 costume. And it was just so ridiculous. But to see someone continue that tradition, always thought that was kind of cool, which kind of transitions into my next talking point with us. And it's talking about costumes. We've kind of touched on it before. And I remember my most memorable costume came from a very bizarre place. So the first movie I remember seeing entirely too young, I have two core memories as a child involving movies. One is the glorious Disney classic Fox and the Hound. Wonderful. The other one is Friday the 13th Part 5. And the moment that sticks out in my brain is where the big dude on the motorcycle is riding through the woods and his head gets cut off. Saw that at 5 years old. You don't forget that shit.
5 at 5. Yeah. That's a crazy movie.
Yeah, I was like,
that's got to be like the most insane of all the Friday the 13th sequels.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's wild because, and it's actually directly because of Hen, I have reevaluated that movie, and I honestly fucking love it.
It's enjoyable. I mean, it's just so incredibly wild that, you gotta love it.
Yeah. So I remember for one Halloween, I wanted to be Jason. And my parents, because I was raised by grandparents, people in their 60s when they raised me. So they had no concept of what this was. So they tried to help me build my first Halloween costume. And I remember going to the Canadian equivalent of Kmart, more or less, and getting a pair of coveralls. And I remember being in my basement with a bunch of the really shitty but expensive fake blood you'd get at Halloween because you couldn't make your own at that time, or at least there were no easy directions to. So I coated the coveralls in blood, and they had this shitty Jason mask that looked just off brand enough to not get them sued, and it would glow in the dark. And they had this plastic machete that also had blood on it. I'm thinking, that's not nearly enough gore. So again, I remember just emptying this thing, and my parents were pissed because I fucked up the carpet real bad. And I remember going out as Jason, and there was something about that because I think at the time, maybe Part 6 had come out, maybe 7. So sort of the body movements and the body language of the performance of Jason had finally start to come out and really be defined. Basically, in my opinion, zombie Jason defined how he moves and like the heavy breathing of Kane Hodder. So obviously I'm a method actor, and I wanted to do that in the costume. So I'd walk up to the houses all big and hulking, and then eventually trick or treat. It would always be like, I have to break immersion because I want a fucking Snickers. But I remember that being so much fun. And then my other memory I remember this going back to those costumes where they were just weird t-shirty things. This one was really strange because it was that, but it wasn't. So it was this big fake muscle chest, very much like Wrath of Khan style, but it was like these bandoliers of bullets. So I remember going out as friggin' Rambo from First Blood Part 2 because I didn't know what that was. I just knew that's Sylvester Stallone. He looks cool, and getting this giant like machine gun and just running around going war, and I just thought it was funny. But yeah, I remember the costume and the weird fake bandolier of bullets and like the weird headband mask. And I wish I could, you know what? I'm going to have to go on eBay later and look for this because it must exist somewhere. But yeah, so that was my earliest and first Halloween costumes. Jason and Rambo. How much more 80s can you possibly get?
Yeah,
Only
they
thing that
both
would've
had
been-
the highest body counts in the 80s too. So
It's true. I mean, the only thing that could make this more 80s is if I dressed up as Eddie Murphy from Eddie Murphy Raw or Rodney Dangerfield. So anyway, Hen, what about you? Well, what were your first costumes?
man, I was a weird kid and I got obsessed with being Dracula. I wanted to be Dracula every year for a good chunk of my childhood. Because every year I would be Dracula and every year I would think up like how I could have done it better. I'd be like, oh, but this time I'm going to get the little like amulet thing around my neck, or, oh, I heard about these vampire fangs that are way better. Because when you're a kid, none of the vampire fangs worked back then. I mean, good luck. You start with the plastic ones, then you try the ones that stick to your canines directly, but your canines are super tiny because you're a child. So they just fall out. It was always an ordeal with the fangs, but every year I would be like, oh, I'm going to keep an eye out for better fangs. I'm going to keep an eye out for a cooler cape. I'm going to keep an eye out for this or that. And making my mom slick my hair back and give me the little widow's peak and white my face out. I just thought that was like the epitome of Halloween, was being Dracula.
Hey,
So
I've been trying to find an image of Dracula with the widow's peak because that's what I think of too. I'm like, oh yeah, the widow's peak. I can't find it. I was like, oh, didn't Bela Lugosi have the widow's peak? No, he didn't. So where did that come from?
I have no idea. I feel like it was one of those. I mean, unless we're in a Berenstein versus Berenstain Bears situation, we're just in the wrong universe.
We might be.
Yeah, because that's the thing I remember too, is that like a widow's peak was absolutely required in order to be Dracula. And there's like, I mean, you would know better than anybody. I watched your video, by the way, James, about all the Dracula movies.
Oh yeah.
Which inspired me to watch like 6 or 7 of them I hadn't seen and really enjoyed the hell out of. Now I'm positive that Jess Franco's Dracula is the best Dracula as far as like overall Dracula-ism.
Yeah, but, that opening is really legit.
Yeah.
So the whole part when he's in the castle and it's shot so gritty.
It works great. It works so well. I always believed Jess Franco was the guy who he made so many movies so quickly. He just would stumble ass backwards into genius every so often.
Yeah.
Like he would step in a prairie dog hole and fall and make a brilliant little movie.
Yeah.
But there's no friggin' widow's peak. It's like, it's entirely a Halloween concept.
Yeah, just a speculation. It might have been Eddie Munster, even though he was like a werewolf, but maybe that kind of got wrapped up in the whole lore.
I think, dude, I think you're onto something because I just pulled up a picture real quick. I mean, that widow's peak is there. Also, illustrations, because Grandpa Munster had a widow's peak too.
Oh yeah.
I never even thought about that.
And illustrations of Dracula, like those cheesy paper cutouts you were talking about, that would be like taped to the walls of classrooms and stuff. Dracula always had that big widow's peak as well. So it's one of the chicken or the egg thing. I wonder if it was Eddie Munster or if it was the cheesy illustrations that came first.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's worth diving into sometime.
So what about you, James? What are your earliest costumes or favorite costumes?
Only because of the photos from the old family albums. I know that the first Halloween that I had in 1980, I was a bunny. So my parents dressed me up as a bunny. I just kind of had that little, like, that cutout where the face goes through,
Mm-hmm.
And the next year was a clown, then Superman, then a dog, then an astronaut. But if I were looking back at, like, this is like 45 years of Halloween, like the one that I think is my favorite, that was just the funniest idea in general, was one time I went into it was either a Halloween Adventure or a Spirit Halloween, whichever it was at the time. And I went in and just was like, okay, I can't decide on anything. You know what? I'm just going to take a little of everything. So I got like a Spartan mask, like the helmet, got a blue wig put over it, a cowboy hat, a Dracula cape, a crucifix and a peace sign around my neck, and then like a Rambo like bullet, one of those bullet belts going over everything, and a tie-dye shirt. So I was the most mixed up thing you could possibly be. And I remember when I went to the cashier with all these random accessories, he was like, "What are you supposed to be?" I'm like, "I'm just being the most indecisive person." He just laughed. I'm like, "Yeah, this is good. I hit the jackpot."
What are you supposed to be? Schizophrenia?
Yeah. But it's always a
outstanding.
decision, though. It's like, well, where are you going to wear the costume? Like, what's it for? And some years I've even had multiple costumes for multiple occasions, because be like, okay, well, this is the one I'm going to wear with my children when we trick or treat. And then this one I'm going to wear when I go to my friend's party, that kind of thing. So
one of the things that's always so cool is seeing the creativity that comes out online around this time of year. I remember this would have been in the late 2000s. I saw a video, and it must have been on like early YouTube, but it was someone whose Halloween costume used dual iPads or video screens, so it seemed like you could see through them.
Interesting.
And I thought that was so cool. Another guy I saw locally did a xenomorph chest burster, and he would pop out of his chest, and like it would just like you get a little splash of blood.
That's
and
pretty
it was
good.
So cool. Yeah, and it was intense. And we live in a culture now, especially in 2025, where a lot of people have costuming skills due to cosplay. So you would go to these conventions like San Diego Comic-Con or New York or whatever. And even with the smaller horror conventions, you see people dressing up. Like I've seen some of the pictures from like your Facebook, James, and Hen's from yours, how people they go to these conventions and they dress up. You see like outstanding Jasons or art, the clowns, and like, or even weirder stuff like a pumpkin head, like stuff that you just never expect. And I've always had this weird headcanon of mine. I'm like, I wonder what Halloween is like in Los Angeles, where the special effects industry lives. I'm just curious. Like, what kid is walking around with a fully functional Iron Man suit? What kid looks like the Tar Man from from Return of the Living Dead? Like, this surely must exist. So what is the coolest costume you guys have seen either online or in person?
Well, I feel like the biggest hotspot is Comic-Con. I feel like every year I've ever been there in San Diego, it's always just swarming with these really impressive costumes. Boy, I mean, off the top of my head, I remember Rocky Balboa and Ivan Drago pair going together, and it helped because they kind of looked the characters. So a lot of times they'll sort of dress the part of what they look like to begin with. There was a guy going around there are two guys going around as a Kirk and Spock, but they weren't the ones from the show or the movies. It was basically like what they would look like today. Like these were older guys playing like basically like what William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy would look like, today more. So it was kind of an interesting take on it, but they were still wearing like the 1960s uniforms.
Oh, that's cool.
So I saw two somewhat recently. I was at Living Dead Fest in Pittsburgh in 2024. and I saw a kid dressed as Jordy Verrill from Creepshow, the character Stephen King played, but he had like the moss all over him, and he had a voice bubble.
Oh, that's
saying,
pretty good.
"You lunkhead," or whatever that line was. And I thought that was great. But the other one I saw that blew my mind was there was a woman in a prom dress with a flamethrower and a guy in a tuxedo with his face ripped off from Night of the Creeps. Yeah.
Oh.
From Night of the Creeps. And she had the flamethrower, and he was like, looked like the zombie from the poster. And I thought that one was, bar none, one of the best ones I've ever seen in all my days, because the second I saw it, I immediately recognized it and was impressed by the reference, the effort, the detail, all of it.
Well, that's awesome.
That's amazing. And such a deep cut too.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Oh, I want to mention, I did a little quick research when we were talking about the Widow's Peak. Bela Lugosi had a Widow's Peak in Mark of the Vampire in 1935.
Oh, that one. I always forget about that movie.
Yeah. And I bet you that was a much cheaper movie to license for TV. And I bet it was a cheaper movie to license photos. So I'm thinking that might have fed the Dracula Widow's Peak a little bit more. Although it's not nearly as comical as like Eddie Munster's, where it's just obscene. But
it's a more subtle Widow's Peak.
Yeah, exactly.
Not like as exaggerated. Yeah, I guess everything with Dracula just got more exaggerated. Like the accent, all the lines of dialogue that he never said. Like "I want to drink your blood" and this and that.
See, I kind of figured it would have come from something that was easy to license. I figured it was either something like you guys mentioned, or maybe it might have been like a really popular early television ad that somebody drew based upon something that was easily kind of referenced.
Could have been a Bugs Bunny cartoon or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So next question, kind of again, following along with this costuming, trick-or-treating. Memories and experiences with this. Most of my experiences were from a small town, which I kind of feel is kind of the perfect Halloween experience. And what I mean by that is it feels isolated in a bubble where like you've got that small town vibe. People just want to hand out candy. It wants to be a good time. And my place that I grew up was a small village close to the town of Owen Sound, a little place called Shallow Lake, a village of 500 people. So not very big at all. And the kind of ruling of etiquette was you couldn't go out until at the earliest 6 p.m. So about that time, sunsets usually around that time, I want to say. But the second the porch lights came on, you could go out. And if a porch light was off, you avoided that house. That was the rule. And I seem to recall my village was pretty quiet. Like there were almost every place in town did it. So that's a lot of candy for a really, really, really small place. And I remember a few people did like haunted houses or attractions, like not quite to the same elaborate of having like a 5-foot tall pumpkin head or something. But I remember a few people setting up like fake graves and like a Frankenstein. I seem to recall there used to be an auto body shop or something, and they took out all the tools and everything. And for a night, they transformed this house into a haunted 2-level experience with like flashing strobe lights and fog machines. It was the coolest thing I'd ever seen, but they only did it like one year for sure, maybe twice. And then I think that place closed and they left town. I remember that being really intense. I also never really encountered bullying on Halloween, which was kind of weird because I was like the town fat kid. So obviously I'm easy to pick on, but I don't recall a lot of that happening. But I remember my trick-or-treating experiences very, very different when I went to a larger city. So when I went from the town of 500 and I moved over to the next town, which was about 25,000, it was almost an overload. And I remember I would hear kids in my class, because I went to a smaller elementary school, they would talk about coming back with like 3-4 pillowcases worth of candy. I'm thinking, holy shit, how the hell are you not the size of me? And like, I always thought that was crazy because I figure if I got a pillowcase and a half, that's a pretty good haul. It's time to go home and kind of pack it in. But like, I remember a lot of people just being really kind. I didn't get too many of the quote unquote bad houses. Like, very rarely did I ever come across someone going, here's a toothbrush or here's like an apple or whatever. I seem to recall those circus peanuts being given out a little bit of the time, because we're going to talk about candy for sure. So keep that in the back of your minds. There were these weird, I would almost call them old people adjacent candy, but they were these little caramel kisses wrapped in this really Halloween-esque wax paper that would always be full of pumpkins and black cats and stuff like that. And I remember really liking those, but I don't recall a lot of licensed candy outside of little bags of chips and maybe some candy bars, but it was always like weird knockoff stuff, but it was never bad. And for some reason, you guys, we call them sweet tarts in Canada. You guys call them rockets. I seem to recall those being everywhere. I guess they were just cheap or something. But yeah, and probably say the favorite thing I would get for Halloween, I was a soda fiend. So if there was like a full can of Pepsi, let's go. But that was sort of my jam. And yeah, and we never had any rumors in our area because it was always like the big thing, like, be careful of people putting razors in your shit, which I don't think ever really happened. That maybe it happened like once, but I never recall that even becoming a concern in my area. It was like, yep, just be careful, check everything. And I never even heard like a whisper of anything bad ever happening in my area. So yeah, so those are my experiences with trick-or-treating and fave candies. Hen, what do you got?
Oh man, well, the myths that children would spread during Halloween, they know no bounds. The big myths I would always hear were the multiple full sacks of candy. You'd always hear that. It's like catching a fish that's, 18 feet wide, but you threw it back in for some reason. They'd always say like, oh man, we were getting like so many sacks of candy. It's like, where are they? It's like, oh, I took them home. Yeah, sure you did. But also there was always this mythological house that had like giant barrels of candy, like 2 giant barrels of candy and a sign that said, please take one. And people would supposedly go there and just like shovel, giant handfuls into their bags. But again, I never actually found any place that had anything bigger than like a big bowl that said, please take one. So that's the kind of thing that I always remembered hearing about. And of course, having to have your candy checked was a big one. I do remember one year getting apples, and me and my cousin, who was a little bit older than me, who was really trying to teach me to be a little shit. He was really trying to instruct me on the ways of that. He insisted we like bash them into the side of the like curb and like make them explode everywhere because they're probably poisoned. Like you can't see if there's needle holes in them. And now looking back, I'm like, I think he just wanted to destroy things, and that's fine. But no, as far as the candy itself, I was looking forward the most to the little sweet tarts that you would get 3 sweet tarts in a little paper thing. I looked forward to those. And I looked forward to fun size Kit Kat bars. Those were like, that was what I had to have always from the Halloween candy haul. Like I wanted those super, super bad. And I would steal those from my house's candy we were going to hand out. I would steal just the sweet tarts and I would steal the fun size Kit Kats for myself if I could get away with it. So, but there were so many, it feels like there were a million generic Halloween candies, the weird toffees that were wrapped in just wax paper that was either orange or black. We got lots of like those strawberry bonbons. You'd get those for some reason. It feels like there were just so many weird random candies, but I'm sure when you're a kid, everything just kind of is more. So those were my favorite ones.
All right, James.
Let's see. Well, I posted a episode on candy, which you probably have seen by now. We'll see. But in that one, I talk about all different types of, candy I remember. I didn't eat a lot of candy like post, childhood. So whenever I do, it's very nostalgic. It's like, oh, I remember what that tastes like. It kind of just comes back to you in an instant. And I think the one that always stuck with me the most was those Reese's Pieces cups, or just the Reese's cups. I guess the Reese's Pieces were the ones in ET, right? Like the little, which were different. But the ones that were like the full cups with the chocolate coating and the peanut butter in the middle, I remember the packaging is always like orange. I mean, to this day, it always has that familiar orange packaging, and it's Halloween color, first of all. And then when you were trick or treating and it's kind of dark out, you would always be able to spot that. You'd always see like when there's like a basket of candy or candy's being passed out and it's being thrown into your bag, you always see that orange wrapper. And the best, which was rare, was when it was like the full packaging where it was like the 2 Reese's cups. Usually it was like one, or it was like a smaller version or something. But no, the full size double Reese's cups, that was where it's at.
Yeah, like getting the full size candy bars. I can recall in all the years I went out trick or treating, I think I only ever came across that maybe 2 or 3 times, which again, you're right. When you see those giant candy bars, especially the Reese's cups, like, yep, that's a win.
Yeah. We always used to make fun of how the smaller version of everything was called fun size. We're like, well, come on, why would that be fun size? I think fun size would be like the size of a house.
Although
eat your way through it.
It's it's weird. I love Halloween candy for this reason, specifically because it's fun size. It feels like that, like if you want to just satisfy that chocolate urge and you don't want to buy a full chocolate bar, that's enough. Like I buy Halloween candy obviously around this time of year, and I always buy gummy things. Like I'm a big gummy fanatic, and I love the gummy body parts now. And for some reason, I find they have a really long shelf life, so they stay really spongy and fresh forever. Like there was this other one that I found last year, and my wife loves it, and I can't find it this year. It really pisses me off. I'm sure it's out there, but it's this Haribo Witch's Brew. And it is this amazing sweet and sour gummy like cauldron. And they're like, you can get like, I think they're like $2 a bag, but there was a place blowing them out last year. And I think I must have bought like 50 bags, and that lasted us the like entire year. And again, it was just amazing. So my wife would always bring those in her purse, and we'd call them purse gummies. But yeah, like, and it even feels like Halloween candy now has like changed so much. Like I know there's like certain candies or jawbreakers you can get where it'll turn your saliva red into blood. I've seen, I'm trying to think of like the really weird types of like Halloween candy I've seen. I seem to recall, at least again, going back to Reese's, there's pumpkins now, which is like one of my favorites. I think there's like marshmallow Frankensteins and marshmallow ghosts and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't know. It seems like Halloween candy is like definitely changed now, where it's more elaborate and stuff like that.
And much more name brand, much more high quality.
Yeah.
Well, now they have like Halloween soda. So there's like the Jones soda always does something, but now they have like this Fanta Chucky and Michael Myers and that. I tried the Chucky. It's gross. Which sucks because I love Chucky. Like if I'm going to love anything, it'll be the fruit punch. You lied to me, Charles Lee Ray.
What about candy corn? Because that's like the most classic. But I've been coming to realize that not everybody likes candy corn. Like there's a lot of people who actively hate it. How do you guys feel about candy corn?
I tried it for the first time last year. And again, I went into this thinking everybody hates this. I'm going to be contrarian. I'm going to love it. Fuck you. You can't make me. Try it. Okay, that was not good. Now I get it.
So regardless of how it tastes, just the appearance of it, it
Yeah,
almost
that I
becomes
love.
it almost becomes a Halloween decoration itself. Like there's always got to be like a bowl of those candy corn out because you get all the, the colors, and it just feels like Halloween when you see those things.
Oh yeah. And I love candy corn. It always was more of like the candy you bought your household would buy for yourselves, not the one you'd hand out, because you wouldn't get little individual packets of candy corn necessarily. But I'll tell you, as an adult, I mean, I've always liked it, but as an adult, a little bowl of candy corn and a particularly bold cigar is a phenomenal combination.
Oh wow.
Because that honey marshmallow flavor with all that sweetness goes great with like a really like heavy coffee earthy cigar.
Wow, it's like combining something like something childish with something more adult.
Yeah, exactly. and I there are Halloween cigars, believe it or not. Some people know that.
Oh, okay. Huh.
So there's a company called TWIG, and every year they release the monster cigars. One year they did a Freddy, they did a Jason, they did one year they did a Boris Karloff officially licensed cigar. Wow. And one year they did the Monster Box, which was a cigar box shaped like a coffin. And I had to buy it. I had to have it because it was too cool. But they're all really bold cigars. So it's become a Halloween tradition when I kick back to watch a movie or whatever, and I break open one of those monster cigars. I always have like, it's candy corn or Twix. Are the candy of choice with those. So yeah, it's a perfect merging of like childhood nostalgia with like the refinement of an adult enjoying. I prefer cigars named after spooky monsters.
Wow.
That's really cool. And that actually kind of is a good transition point. So that's your tradition. That's something you do as part of your Halloween experience. So I have an unusual one, and probably a hot controversial one that I always get people on my Facebook up my ass about. So to set the scene a little bit, and I'm going to get a little bit serious for just a moment. So back in 2017, I had a very big set of health complications, and long story short, I lost my left leg below the knee. I became an amputee. And I had to spend Christmas in the hospital. And let me tell you, that is the most miserable and depressing experience you can possibly imagine. It's sadder than what you think it is. So how does this tie in to Halloween? So fortunately, I was released from the hospital in early 2018, did all my physical rehab. I was cleared to come home. So in Halloween of 2018, I looked at my wife and I said, look, I don't want to take anything for granted anymore. I missed a pretty big holiday last year. So can we do something funny? She's like, what are you talking about? Can we put up the Christmas tree on Halloween? And she's like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah, let's fucking do it. She's like, why? Like, because it's weird and fucked up. So on Halloween of that year, we put up our Christmas tree, and we would see out the window of our apartments, just all the kids slowly turning their heads as they see the Christmas tree go up. And then over the course of the next couple of years, we would have people again doing the same head turn, but people would start cheering. And people would come up to the door. We had a kid one year came up to the door. I'm like, you are the bravest kid who came up for trick-or-treating. And we had a bunch of candy because we have like kids in our building we just happen to be like super kind of friendly with. But this kid had the balls to come up, knock on our window and say, trick or treat. So like, all right, kid, you just won the jackpot today. So he gave them like $30 worth of candy. So I was like, we are that house that has the barrels. And this kid was like, oh my God, mister, are you sure? I'm like, fuck yes, keep taking more.
Was it Mickey Mouse who came up to your door?
Look at me, diabetes. But yeah, it was so fun though to do that. And people are like, oh, we don't put our Christmas tree up until after Remembrance Day, my dad. Like, no. Fuck off. Who cares? It's fun. And it's always kind of cool because we always try to blend Halloween and Christmas. So we have a lot of spooky decorations in our tree. So, because my wife is a fucking comedian. Again, I mentioned the amputee thing. So she went to a Spirit Halloween to find a bone that matches my left leg and got a shoe. So she put my left leg under the tree. She's like, well, you want your left leg back for Christmas every year. I'm thinking, you fucking ghoul. Awesome. I love you.
Wow.
So I upped the ante the following year. Her dad had passed away. So I got a skull. I'm like, fine, you want your dead dad back. So now it's an escalating war of Halloween versus Christmas.
Wow, you both have some sense of humor with each other.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she lets me get away with fucking murder.
Wow.
And then at the top of our tree is Jack Skellington and a Jason Voorhees mask. Those are our stars. And it's just been kind of cool for us to do that. And what we also do is while we're watching or while we're putting up the tree, we have to watch one Christmas movie, one horror movie, and they can't be anything that we've seen. So last year we watched, I can't remember, I think it was the Kurt Russell Christmas movie from a couple years ago from Netflix, the Santa one. We watched that, which is surprisingly entertaining.
Okay.
And then I showed her a movie called The Belko Experiment, which is a movie about people getting trapped in a building. And if there's not one person left at the end of 3 hours, they all die. So Battle Royale, but Battle Royale meets Office Space would be a weird way to describe it. But yeah, so that's our Halloween tradition. So I guess, Hen, what do you have?
Oh, man. I mean, every year I try to get a little more intricate with the decorations. When I started out, decorating my home, I didn't have much. So every year I try to throw like another couple $100 into the pot and get more lights and more statues and things like that. So that's always been one. And I usually start decorating like the end of September and try to be done by the middle of October, depending on how busy the month has been. Because October has always been a crazy, crazy month for work and travel and everything. But my other big traditions are handing out candy. In Ohio and in most of the Midwest, we have this weird thing that you guys don't have called Beggar's Night, which is a dedicated time for trick-or-treating. And when I was growing up, it was almost always the night before Halloween. Although in the last 5-6 years, Beggar's Night has been almost exclusively on the day of. So I remember when I first was living in New Jersey, I asked somebody, when is Beggar's Night? And they had no idea what I was talking about. I said, well, when is trick or treat? They were like, on Halloween. And that's when I realized, oh, okay, that's not where I am. Where I am, they literally will say like trick or treat is October 31st from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. That's it. We just have it laid out. There's no enforcement. You'll get kids later than 8 sometimes. It just depends. But so I'm in my costume by like 5 o'clock. I've got the speakers in front of my house playing the McDonald's haunted house tape on loop. And then I'm ready to hand out candy. I try to watch what kids are coming. And if they're bigger kids, I try to jump out and scare the hell out of them. I have a fog machine spraying in front of the door because it's usually colder outside. So when you open it, the fog sucks out into the cold air because the fog is hot. I try to have a lot of fun with that. I like when I feel bad, but I like it when the kids are almost afraid to walk up. And then like right at 8 o'clock as the kids start to trickle away, and my neighborhood's like on a major upswing. Every year we seem to have more trick-or-treaters. So I try to I usually order a pizza like right at 8 o'clock so that by the time I'm out of the shower, getting my makeup off, my pizza is here and it's time to watch, Trick or Treat or that's become a pretty big Halloween night tradition is Trick or Treat.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, or Murder Party. Murder Party is one of my favorite Halloween night watches. Oh, you've not seen Murder Party?
I've never heard of it.
Oh man, you guys would both love it. It's from the guy who went on to make Blue Ruin and Green Room. It was his first film, and it's really funny and really good. It takes place on Halloween night.
Cool.
It's super funny. It was on Netflix for a really long time. One of the Vinegar Syndrome labels just put a Blu-ray out of it as well. But that's like, if you haven't seen that, that is a perfect Halloween time. You will laugh your ass off
Cool.
the whole way through
I will
it.
Check it out.
Yeah, it came
'Cause
out
I'm
in
always looking for
07
more
originally.
movies that take place on Halloween or like have a Halloween party in it.
Yeah.
You know, like you mentioned Dark Knight of the Scarecrow, like that has a Halloween party in one scene. You know, it's like things like that. But especially if the whole movie is drenched in Halloween, like the way Trick or Treat is. I mean, that's just, you know, that's awesome.
No, I agree. There's like, it takes place on Halloween and then about Halloween. They're two different things that overlap a bit.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm usually always hunting for takes place or about Halloween. Same with Christmas. It could take place on Christmas or it could be about Christmas.
Yeah.
When it comes to horror movies and stuff. But yeah, Murder Party is one of my all-time favorite Halloween horror movies, and I can't recommend it enough. You'll be quoting it forever after you watch it. It's super, super good. And it really skewers like the Brooklyn art scene, which is really fun too.
So James, what
really?
Are sorry. Yeah.
Just throwing it in there since you got it on topic. There's you would not expect this. There is one that I saw in recent years that has that quality where it's like drenched in Halloween. Excellent production value. Where like every shot outside, like if it's outdoors, you're going to see a big full moon, like a huge exaggerated full moon like that. There's like, you know, jack-o'-lanterns everywhere. There's a scene, I think at like a hayride or a haunted house. There's a Halloween party. There's trick-or-treating. Like every single thing is in it. And I'm like, wow, this is one of the best looking Halloween movies I've seen. And it's an Adam Sandler comedy. It's called Hubie Halloween. And yeah. Have you seen it?
I love that one. No, I love that movie. It's so much fun.
I haven't seen it yet. It's on my watch list before the end of the day, actually.
The
cool. Movie we watched tonight, actually.
Yeah, like you wouldn't expect how overboard it goes with Halloween, but it is just awesome. There's just so many decorations in every shot, and it'll get you in the spirit.
I love that. So what are some of your traditions, James?
Well, I feel like it's over the course of the whole month. It's sort of like a season. So I kind of try to get everything in over that course. But so I don't really have like any one thing that always happens, but I do have a checklist of things where I usually cover most of them. But it would be like go to a haunted house, which I already went to one this year. So I'm already good. I'm covered, which we show in the first episode of Monster Madness this month. I went to this haunted house called Reaper's Revenge that I've never been to before. It's out in Scranton, Pennsylvania. It is awesome. It's like you get on a hayride. So it has the whole hayride thing, which is great in itself. The hayride drops you off at the haunted house. And then you go through this like, you know, elaborate thing. Then you go through another one and then another one. Basically, it's like consecutive, like, haunted attractions. And then you get on the hayride again. And it's basically like, it's like 90 minutes to like 2 hours of just nonstop, like haunted house action. Really good effects, really good, you know, lighting and layout and everything. The actors are great. Like it's just, I can't recommend it more. It's just so awesome. It's just like, it was one of the best I've seen. But every year I try to find another one that I haven't been to. So that's a big tradition. And then of course, you know, trick-or-treating's come back into my life because I have children. So it's sort of like reliving my childhood through them. You know, and then like all the other things like watching horror movies, maybe find some Halloween candy, you know, all those type of things.
So I want you guys to percolate on this because I'd like to know, what is your favorite Halloween movie or what's your favorite horror movie? I myself, because I've been friends with Hen for so long, I challenge myself, try to watch something you've never seen before.
Yeah.
Or if it's been covered via podcast, I've just listened for 2 hours on this, give it a whirl. And you and Hen and Dave did a wonderful thing about 1 year or 2 years ago where it's like, here's a shit ton of horror movies, check these out. And I've been challenging myself to go back and do that, like try something new. And this year I challenged myself to try something new. And it's a movie I'd heard about but I didn't know what it was about. All I knew was the title. And the movie was called Late Night with the Devil.
Yes.
And I sat down and watched that earlier this month, and I could not keep my eyes off of this. And I love horror movies, like as much as I love Freddy and Jason and Art the Clown. I don't come across many horror movies that the horror slowly builds over the course of the hour and a half, and weirder shit starts happening. And this one, to give people an idea what this is about, it's about a talk show host who has a successful career, and then it craters. And then suddenly they're back and they're doing a Halloween special during Sweeps Week, and shenanigans ensue. And it stars the guy who played Polka Dot Man.
David Dasmalchian. Yeah, my buddy from the AVGN movie. He has a cameo.
Yeah, like honestly, I really like his stuff. I've heard him on a couple of podcasts. He did the King cast a couple times in the last couple of years, and I've just really gotten into him as an actor. And while I was watching this Late Night with the Devil, I was like, that's fucking amazing. And then last year, me and David Denoyer started doing anthology movies. So we did Tales from the Crypt, we did The Twilight Zone, and then we started watching the VHS movies. And recently this year, Shudder is the exclusive home of this stuff, but you can find it across other kind of streaming platforms. There's the VHS movies, and this year was VHS Halloween. And this year was, to give a mini review, fucking intense. The last two stories are almost borderline disturbing. Where like I'm a horror, like we're all horror guys here. This is one I almost had to turn off.
Oh, okay.
And I'm thinking that's I don't know whether that's the mark of a good film, that it gets under your skin that much, or it brings you into that world of terror. And because they both involve children in peril, which, you know, whatever you want to say about that. But the story that really got me was called Kid Print. And it very much involves those myths about Halloween where kids go missing and horrible things happen. And it's pretty fucked up, I'm not going to lie. But the last one that really got my attention, mostly because of how gory it was, because I can't think of many horror movies where kids are actually killed. I can think of Terrifier 3, The Blob 1988, where the kid gets liquefied, and I guess to a lesser extent,
From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yep, From Dusk Till Dawn and Friday the 13th, part 6 and 4. They hint that Jason's going to kill Tommy, and they hint that Jason's going to kill the kids at the camp, but he never actually does.
Pumpkinhead.
That's right, where the kid dies because he gets hit. But yeah, I was thinking, I can't think of many about this. This movie channels Terrifier vibes. And I'll just say a kid gets Mortal Kombated. And I'm like, holy shit.
Wow.
But that was intense.
Yeah, I'm usually not looking for anything like around Halloween. I'm not really looking to get like disturbed. I'm more kind of like looking for something that's fun.
Yeah, fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess that is my question to you guys. What's your favorite Halloween or horror movie, or what movie do you feel really exemplifies? You mentioned Hubie Halloween. Are there any other ones that people may not necessarily be thinking about?
Yeah, well, Trick or Treat we mentioned, and that one I would put really high up there. I know, of course, the movie Halloween has Halloween in the title. That's kind of a given.
Satan's Little Helper, maybe?
Satan's Little Helper.
Oh, man, that is a great one. This small island community off of New York State has a real serial killer killing people in a Halloween costume, and this little boy thinks it's a game that he's helping him, kill people, but it's like a video game he's played.
Interesting.
It's a really, really great one.
I'll put that on the list too.
It's directed by the same guy who directed Squirm and Blue Sunshine. It's a really, really wild one. Here's one that's like a serious deep cut that most people don't know about at all, but it's from 1991 and it's called Scary Movie, but it's not that one. It's from 1991, And this one's about this group of friends who go to a haunted house in Texas. And I mean, like, they're waiting in line and all this crazy stuff happens. It turns out there's a maniac on the loose. And one of the main characters, he's so scared of Halloween already. He starts going crazy, being stalked by this entity or what have you. My favorite thing about that movie and why it like screams Halloween is it's a very homegrown movie, but it's about a homegrown haunted house built out of a old barn, raising money for charity. But the thing I love about it the most is almost all of the movie is them waiting in line, which is the haunted house experience. Is waiting in line, like getting the hot chocolate, seeing all the costumes and all the decorations. But, you know, the actual haunted house is usually oftentimes the shorter part of the experience versus the driving out there, getting parked, getting in line. Now we have like fast passes and stuff, but still waiting in line has actually become one of my favorite parts of going to haunted houses because you get to absorb that atmosphere. You know, the Halloween music and the costumes and the people running around. So Scary Movie from 1991. It's not the best horror movie ever, but it really makes me feel very Halloween vibes because it's an old homemade haunted house on Halloween night, and it's a horror movie.
Oh, cool.
What about you,
when
James?
When it comes to Halloween horror movies, I mean, I guess the idea is it doesn't necessarily have to be a Halloween themed movie, but just something that you want to watch around Halloween every year, like a tradition. I guess on the comedy side, I think Ernest Scared Stupid comes up a lot.
Classic.
I feel like, that one's that one just totally invokes Halloween and reminds you of the good old, fun times as a kid. And then like as a regular horror movie, I'm thinking, since we mentioned Trick or Treat, mentioned Halloween, I'm thinking to go older, go to like the black and white era. I think really a movie that just exemplifies Halloween and all the tropes that came afterwards is the original Dracula. I think it just has like, there's the really phony looking bats flapping around. It's got the creaking door that opens and like the old castle has those really long pauses where it's so quiet. You can just hear like the film crackle, and it just has that eeriness to it, that really slow kind of hypnotic pace. I think if you just put it on your TV around the glow of like jack-o'-lanterns and stuff and your decorations, it just has that spirit.
That kind of reminds me, I think I talked about this on the podcast before, but I know, James, like a number of years ago, you, me, and I think it might have been you, Hen, or it might have been Alex. We did a show on Universal Monster movies. Yeah. And I recalled a time. So way back when I could drive, I remember going to a movie theater that was in the next town over. And I had never seen Frankenstein and I'd never seen Dracula before. And our local movie theater was like, okay, for like Halloween, we're showing a different Universal Monster movie. And I remember the night that I went to go see Dracula was the most atmospheric night of all. So it's late fall. The leaves are more or less off the trees, and there's just this low fog hanging over everything.
Oh, nice.
So I drive into the movie theater, go get my popcorn, and just watching this on like this 100-foot screen, and there was like maybe 5 of us in there.
What'd they say it was? They said it was a different Universal Monster movie? Which one?
Or something like, like this was Dracula. So this was the first one that I'd ever seen.
So it's the one I was talking about.
Yeah.
Dracula 1931. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'd never seen it before because like I haven't seen a lot of black and white horror movies until you and I became friends.
Oh, cool.
So I was like, okay, let's give this a whirl. And again, sat there enthralled. I was surprised how short it was, but it never overstayed its welcome. But the things I remember most about this movie, it was the atmosphere and the experience of leaving the movie theater. Here's what I mean. So I'm leaving the theater. It's like 10 o'clock at night. There's nobody in the parking lot. And you know how when it's really foggy out, the orange of the streetlights hits the fog in a certain way. So I'm walking out in the theater. I'm like, cool, gonna get murdered. Walking up to my car, and I'm just getting ready to drive away, and it's like everybody on Earth was gone. except me. And like, even like just driving down the highway, there's no other cars. I didn't even turn on the radio. And it's like, if this was the end of the world, I think I'm here.
Oh,
And it
wow.
was just so intense. And like, I haven't had many movies be able to recapture that vibe coming out of it. And like, I'm perpetually chasing that high again. Like, can I ever get this? And it's not like I want to walk outside and see zombies or anything.
That's rare. It can happen though. I do remember one time seeing fog, bats, and a full moon at the same time. It was a fleeting instance, but I was like, whoa, that's probably never going to happen again.
That's so cool. All right, guys. So final question today. And I think it's probably what brings us all together as friends and compatriots here. What makes Halloween special to all of us? So percolate on that. So for me, it's a bonding experience. I've always loved horror movies. I've always loved special effects, but it goes back to that tradition of my wife and I putting up the Christmas tree. And it's recognizing that every moment is precious.
Yeah.
And as much as we're having fun putting together the Christmas tree, getting the random kid that comes to our door, we even have bizarre Christmas ornaments because we don't throw things out. We have a one-armed Simpsons character that is Marge Simpson. We've called Midge because it's terrible. But it's us sitting there watching horror movies and just bonding, because my wife doesn't watch many horror movies, but she's seen way more Supernatural and Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So when I can show her something horror that doesn't, like, she'll never watch Art the Clown and Terrifier, but she'll dig stuff like the Belko Experiment, or she probably would like Satan's Little Helper and stuff like that. Like, and I'm going to show her Hubie Halloween later on tonight. And it's just, it's a cool bonding experience. And then like, even as a whole, it's the one time of year where it forces me to sit down and challenge what I know, to sit there. What's a new movie I've never seen? What's a television show? What's a comic book I've never read before? And I don't know. It's just, as an adult, it means more than when I was a child, because I think I can recognize this is a real moment in time. It's a real good moment of growth and experience. And just the fact that I can share this with my wife and my friends. And even last year, or no, this would have been about 2 years ago, my next door neighbor, Liam, dressed up as Michael Myers, and I didn't have a doorbell camera at this time. So he knocks on our door and he's holding my cat, Dr. Wiley, who's now since passed away. But it's just the image of Michael Myers holding a kitten and the cat's like, love me, was just like, this is why I have the best friends in the entire world. And not saying a word, he hands me the cat and he hands me a fake head that has the Freddy versus Jason version of the Jason mask on a fake head, and just takes it, hands me the cat, hands me Jason, leaves me a bowl of candy, and just silently walks out. And it was just such a moment in time, thinking, man, this is why I love Halloween. I've got like the best friends in the entire world. I've got the best family. This is really, really special to me. So that's why Halloween means a lot to me, because it is family and making memories. Hen, what about you, my friend?
Oh boy. I mean, you nailed a lot of really good points about, just family and friends and reasons to get together. It also kicks off the beginning of the end of the year and all the celebrations to come, Thanksgiving and then Christmas and New Year's. They all roll one after the other after Halloween. And I always thought that Halloween, I don't know, it's got the spooky element is a wonderful thing, but when you look at where it comes from, it really comes from the idea of not avoiding the people who are gone and avoiding your ancestors, accepting that like death is a part of life and that death is a part of all of our lives. And that's where it kind of, I don't know, where it starts to hit me as I've gotten older, as I've started to realize like this is about finding joy in the reality that we all have to go someday, and everyone we love will have to go someday, but that we can remember them and we can still laugh and dress up and eat candy and watch movies and dream and love just as much as we ever did. And I think it's a perfect way to lead into celebrating thankfulness and celebrating, lights and the new year to come and everything. I think it's a great primer because it could be a really heavy, solemn way, but instead we make it kind of a joyous celebration. So that's what I love about Halloween. I love embracing something about life that we don't necessarily embrace all the time. And that is very important to do so.
Yeah.
And then James, buddy, bring us home.
I mean, I think you guys got it all covered. It's all that, everything you guys have said and everything we've said throughout the podcast. But to your point, we're heading into like the darker season where, you're about to be plunged into winter and longer nights. And even though Halloween's a modern holiday, how it has roots with the festival of Samhain. And of course, back then, as it's famously known, that when the seasons are getting darker, that was when they felt it was like things were getting scarier in general. I mean, like your crops aren't going to grow and like all this stuff is going to be, everything's going to get dark and miserable for a little while. So they also felt that was like the barrier between the living and the dead would happen right around that time. So we're heading into the darker seasons, but like you said, we celebrate it sort of in a way, like Halloween, sort of to get yourself ready for all that's to come. So yeah, it really is just like the beginning of like the turn of the season, really. And then we'll come out of it at the other end. But when we go around the time we start coming out of it is St. Walpurgis Night, which is kind of becoming like a lesser known version of Halloween because it kind of has a similar background a little bit. And it's also a spooky night. I mean, we mentioned Dracula in the movie Dracula, they say it's St. Walpurgis Night when Jonathan Harker, in that movie, they made it Renfield. When Renfield is traveling to the castle, that's on St. Walpurgis Night, which happens at the end of April. So that's your halfway to Halloween. So basically, that's sort of what the reverse. You're coming out of it now. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad that Halloween always gives us a chance to get together. And I'm glad, if anything, it's strengthened friendships. I mean, James, you and I have been doing this for close to 2 decades now. That's a long time. Like I said, I don't have many friendships that have endured this long. Me and Henrique have been friends since the beginning of his podcast, Welcome to Primetime, a Freddy's Nightmare Show. And now I can text message him. And if I have a life coach problem, I can text Henrique at 2:00 in the morning and I'll get an answer. So it's kind of fun how horror movies and Halloween has developed long-lasting and enduring friendships, and I'm eternally grateful for that.
Oh, so, awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, thank you, boys, for being a part of my life and continuing this Halloween tradition. Next year, don't know what we're going to do. I'm sure we'll have something equally as fun. Don't know whether it will be as emotionally moving, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So I guess before we close out, Henrique, what do you got coming up between now and the end of the year?
Oh, goodness. Well, there is so much. Just at the end of October, we have 2 horror novellas publishing the Wednesday and Thursday before Halloween. And then we have a very special Halloween episode on Friday, on Halloween Day, which will be that will mark 6 years of Weekly Spooky. In November, we have a novella coming out on the day before Thanksgiving about Thanksgiving, because I am a big fan of that kind of thing. And then in December, we have a ton of bonus Christmas stories coming. So Weekly Spooky will be publishing much more than twice a week, pretty much until the end of the year.
you're going to kill yourself because you work really hard on that podcast.
I have my moments. Yeah.
And then James, what is coming up for you and Cinemassacre? I believe recently you just launched a novel and you've got a video game that is coming out, correct?
Yeah. So I've released a short horror novel called Gnome Cave, which is about an abandoned amusement park. And we released the Nerd game on 8-bit. It's on a legit cartridge and everything, or will be. And Monster Madness. And with Monster Madness, the topic has been what we're discussing tonight. Basically, it's like all these Halloween themes. So we covered haunted houses, costumes, decorations, horror conventions, and candy. So if you want to hear more about that, then you can head over there.
And then what do you got coming up in terms of nerd episodes between now and the end of the year?
Oh, yes. Okay. So we just, probably right about this time when you're hearing this, the nerd episode is launched. And in this one, I go through a full werewolf transformation. So we do like a 4-hour makeup job, sticking hairs in my face. My buddy Joe did the makeup, and he also did the makeup on the Jekyll and Hyde episode from a couple of years ago, where I'm old nerd. So it's always been a great experience, getting a taste of what actors go through when they're in the makeup chair. So yeah, that's a lot of fun. Did it in the style of the original Wolfman, black and white and everything. So yeah, it's tons and tons of content that just came out. What's next? Like, hopefully have a little breath, but more nerd videos on the way and more content.
Fantastic. All right, guys. So I guess, again, coming up from us here at This Week in Geek, we have our, we just finished Broketober and all the Halloween content. So to be sure to be checking out that. We have a bunch of shows coming up during November. Not quite sure what we're recording just yet, other than the weekly show. I'm doing stuff with Loose Cannon with Dave, Ken, and Adam. I think we're looking at... We might have some Disney movies or some other stuff. I know we're going to try and do some more Christmas content. I know me and Aaron and Alex are working on more Star Trek content, so you should hear that. If not, between now and December, you'll definitely hear that over the Christmas break. We also have our annual holiday gift guide. We've already had multiple partners involved this year, so everything from toys, video games, the books now, again, and role-playing games. Lots of good stuff to look forward to. That'll be broadcasting on December 12th. And then we'll have our coverage of the Video Game Awards hosted by Jeff himself from Los Angeles. So look forward to that coverage as well as our Christmas content. So yeah, anyway, guys, again, want to thank Henrique from Weekly Spookies for coming, and then obviously James from Cinemassacre. Your participation each and every year makes these shows extremely special, and thank you guys for taking time out of your extremely busy schedules to speak with this fucking idiot that is me. I appreciate it immensely. So anyway, guys, for thisweekingeek.net, from the land of Ohio, we have been
Henrique Couto.
From the Nerd Basement,
James Rolfe.
All right, guys, once again, I've been Mike the Birdman saying have a safe and happy Halloween. And as I sign off each and every podcast, especially in these troubling times, be excellent to each other. We'll catch you guys again next time, right here on thisweekingeek.net.
Your phone. Where's it's life and death?
Happy, happy Halloween, 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 happy.
If it goes out, it means the death of millions of people, everyone watching. Don't you understand that? Well, say it's a bomb, then say whatever you want. Say whatever you like, just get it off the air. Please, you just... No, I can't prove it. You've got to believe me. Believe me. Take it off the air now, please. You've got to. It makes...
Interruption. We're having technical problems. Please stand by.
You've got to, please, stop it. Stop it now. Turn it off. Turn it off. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Thanks for listening to this episode of This Week in Geek. Hungry for more? Check out our website at thisweekingeek.net. You can subscribe to the podcast, browse our Twitter and Instagram, and leave your thoughts on today's topics. If you'd like to give us some feedback, send us an email at feedback@thisweekingeek.net. Tune in next time, and remember,
lower your shields and surrender your listenership.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Thank you for your cooperation. Good night.